You steer left, it steers right. This is a backwards bike or a reverse steering bike. Quite a few creators have tried these, including Destin from Smarter Every Day. He spent 8 months learning to ride one, and he even said this.
I do not make definitive statements that often, but I'm telling you right now, you cannot ride this bicycle.
Destin is right, mostly. I watched as other creators like Mike Boyd were able to ride it much quicker with intensive practice. He got the hang of it quickly and was able to go 50 meters in 1 hour and 29 minutes. A huge improvement. But then I finally tried the backwards bike for the first time, and this happened. I know how to ride a normal bike, and so this should happen pretty quick. Yeah. I mean, I can just get on it and ride it. It just... That wasn't supposed to happen. I had 4 days set aside to shoot a video learning the backwards bike, and I had to go back to the drawing board. Others fail immediately. In fact, Destin has done talks where he offers $200 for people in the audience to stay up at all. While I'd love to believe I have superhuman abilities, I know that's not the case. And indeed, someone else posted a YouTube video 5 years ago, basically getting up and riding the thing just like I did. He dabbed his foot a few times, scooted the bike around, and was pretty much up and running. I wanted to know why some people are backwards brained and can learn this thing in just a few minutes. So I let a bunch of my friends try the backwards bike, and they all learned at different speeds. Some took some time, some learned fast, and others learned really fast. And I think backwards brained people have meaningful similarities. Could that be you? There might be a way to tell. I'm Seth from Burn Peak, and today I'm trying to figure out what makes people backwards brained. Oh, and also I'm trying to find out if the most terrifying part about this thing is true. More on that later. So there's a huge disparity in learning curves on this thing. Destin from Smarter Every Day famously took 8 months to learn the backwards bike, and he later explained that it was not really 8 months of intensive practice. He rode to the end of his driveway and back every few days until he figured it out. That's not really a lot of practice, but I think his environment was actually holding him back. It's important to understand what makes a bicycle stay up. Ask most people and they'll tell you the spinning wheels create a gyroscopic effect. While that effect may indeed be present, it's not what's actually keeping the bike up. Bikes stay up through the centripetal force initiated by steering. When you ride in a straight line, you are actually making tiny involuntary corrections to keep your center of mass over the wheels. But those involuntary corrections are involuntary. Your brain needs to develop that procedural knowledge, and thus trying to learn by riding in a straight line might be a lot harder. Try riding on a curb or on a painted line on a road. Most people can't even do this on a normal bike. In fact, when most people get on a normal bike, they start by wobbling a bit and then they stabilize and go straight. Yet, when people try the backwards bike, they tend to immediately try to go straight, and this just isn't how people ride actual bikes. I don't know how Destin practiced the backwards bike, but I know it was on a long, narrow driveway, whereas I was on the exact opposite. My driveway is a big open square, and Mike Boyd looked like he was really trying to ride straight as well. So I think both Destin and Mike could have learned even faster had they tried steering first. If we observe Rafson, the gentleman on YouTube, he's learning in an open gym and doing circles and figure eights. His turns immediately look good, and then he puts his foot down mainly while trying to cross the gym in a straight line. And so I instructed all of my friends to practice turning first, and they all tried in an open area, except for Johnny. How far do you think you're gonna make it on your first pedal stroke?
I think, I don't know, 20 feet.
20 feet? Okay. I think you're gonna fall immediately.
You are correct.
Johnny first tried on a narrow road in front of his workshop, and though I did try him to try turning first, he ended up at the side of the road trying to make his way back to the center.
Holy crap. That's insane, man.
After about 10 minutes of this, we moved to an open parking lot, and after 5 minutes in the parking lot, Johnny was making some serious progress. On the other hand, Alexander learned in a wide open space from the very start. And he used every bit of that space, allowing for uninterrupted practice and the ability to weave around wherever he wanted. After 10 minutes, the coaster brake actually gave him more trouble than the steering.
Put on the brake!
But I didn't realize just how important the environment was until I tried riding 50 meters like Mike Boyd did. At this point in time, I only had 5 minutes of practice total from the day before, but I thought I'd be able to ride the 50 meters in one shot. And I was wrong. It took me 4 tries, which ate up another 5 minutes of practice. When I finally did make it 50 meters, I knew an open space was the fastest way to learn, but that still doesn't explain why some people are backwards brained and can learn it in a few seconds. But I may have found someone who is. Do you think you could ride this?
Show me up.
I can definitely try.
Introducing Nick, a mechanic at Squatch Bikes. He messed around in a small but open area, holding the wall, scooting around, and trying all sorts of goofy stuff. Now you're gonna try and ride it, Vicky. But he showed progress much earlier, and inside of 10 minutes, he was able to ride the backwards bike.
Yes, Nick! Yes!
Now, it's true that my selection of participants includes avid mountain bikers. Not only are they good at bikes, but they're also good at tight turns, hopping around, and making moves you wouldn't normally. But it turns out that Nick can do a lot more. For example, both of us can ride a unicycle. Both of us can track stand for as long as we want. And actually, both of us can ride backwards. These are all skills that require a lot of practice, and it's possible that 1 or 2 of these gave Nick and I an unfair advantage. After that first 5 minutes on the backwards bike, I FaceTimed my friend Brendan, who already knows how to ride a backwards bike. Yo, Brendan, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you doing?
You told me that you learned a reverse steering bicycle when you were like a kid, right?
When I lived in Toronto, we had one as like the neighborhood had one. It's just like a goofy thing that we used to mess around with.
And then how long did it take you to learn to ride it?
Maybe like 30 minutes.
It was Brendan who first suggested that one of my practiced skills might have accidentally prepared me for the backwards bicycle.
Is it the same as riding backwards?
Oh, I know how to ride backwards. Maybe you just figured it out. Brendan got me thinking about my experience riding bicycles and what specifically might have played a role. Having dropped into death chutes and such, I had total confidence that the backwards bike would be doable with practice and that it would not be scary. I was relaxed. Conversely, if you're death gripping the handlebars, you are working against the bike. If you relax, the bike will help you. Yes, the geometry of a bicycle is such that it is self-stabilizing. We can illustrate this with a caster. Position the caster perpendicular to the ground and it goes everywhere. Angle it and it remains stable. Lean and the caster automatically steers. Converting a normal bicycle into a backwards bicycle does not alter its geometry at all. It still has positive trail. And while this effect might be less pronounced when you introduce a gear and additional bearing, it's there. And Destin understood this. The first time he tried the bike, he said,
So, the faster I go, the better.
in theory, he's right. The faster you go, the more the geometry of the bike helps stabilize it. But in practice, going fast doesn't seem to help when learning the backwards bicycle. Nick tried going fast almost immediately because he too understands bicycle geometry, but it didn't help at all.
Do you think it's just a momentum thing? Like, do you think
No, going faster does not make it easier. Actually, going slower seemed to help him, and Nick is really good at riding slow because he too can track stand. Rafson, the YouTube creator who also learned fast, can also track stand. Remember that in his backwards brain bicycle video, Destin also said this.
I had the knowledge of how to operate the bike, but I did not have the understanding. Therefore, knowledge is not understanding.
And he's right. Possessing the theoretical knowledge of how a bicycle works doesn't help you in real time. The corrections need to happen too quickly for conscious thought. But if you can ride slow enough, maybe you can make at least some of those corrections fast enough. Or it could be that track standing simply teaches you a different kind of bike balance that doesn't rely on forward motion. But there's something else you all do without knowing it, and it happens when you initiate a turn. It's called countersteering. See, if I want to make a left turn, I need to lean the bike and turn left. Most people think you're leaning into the turn, but actually that's not true. You're turning into the lean. First, before you make a left turn, you briefly turn the wheel right a little bit, and that makes the bike lean over, and then you catch yourself by turning into the lean. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but watch yourself. Go ride down the street and pay close attention. You can't turn left without first momentarily turning right. And so for several days and nights before I rode the backwards bicycle, I thought about it a lot, and I thought about counter steering, and I knew the first thing that I was gonna do was try to turn. And I think it helped. I didn't realize how much it actually helped until I told Nick to try counter steering. Now, I didn't just tell Nick, I actually had to explain it to him because, like most people, he didn't know he was counter steering his whole life. And once he understood that and saw it working, it was like something clicked in his brain. The same goes for Johnny and Alexander. I explained to Alexander about counter steering and he started to pick it up quicker. Same with Johnny. Johnny called it the snap because when you counter steer, you turn, the bike leans, and then you have to snap in the other direction to catch yourself and turn into that lean. And it works. When your brain actually sees it working, it's like you learned something that you intuitively understand. So Rafson, I know you're out there. Did you know about counter steering before you tried learning that backwards bike? I need to know. So a proper environment, having additional balancing skills, the knowledge of counter steering, and to a lesser degree, confidence are all possible contributors to my quick progress. Any one of those things might help, but if you have them all, you could be backwards brained. But there's another thing that I haven't talked much about yet, and that thing was the original premise of my video. When I first tried the backwards bike, I had only spent 5 minutes on it and I stopped. I immediately jumped back on my normal bike to detox my brain. During Destin's 8 months on the backwards bike, he lost the ability to ride a normal bike. When he discovers this, you can see the brief loss of his even temperament. He's genuinely bewildered. It took him 20 minutes to relearn, and even afterwards, he was making corrective steering motions like someone who just learned to ride a bike. Now, what was probably for Destin a jarring but interesting experience would be for me the end of my career. And it actually gets way worse because a study all but confirmed this in 2024. The researchers got a baseline measurement for everyone's handlebar oscillations on a normal bike. Sometimes it was barely perceptible. Then participants learned the backwards bike and went back to a normal bike. And for the entirety of the study, everyone showed increased handlebar oscillations on a normal bike. So in other words, just learning how to ride this bike left like a scar on their motor skills. I don't know if that was a normal mistake or if I actually screwed myself up here. Now, the oscillations became less noticeable with time, but they were always there in everyone for the entirety of the study. In other words, you keep practicing and the scar keeps fading, but probably never completely. So you can't blame me for taking this concern seriously. But I'm no longer worried about a motor scar that asymptotically fades. While Destin essentially unlearned how to ride a normal bike, having spent 8 months on the backwards bike, Mike Boyd didn't. 90 minutes just wasn't enough time to cause meaningful interference. So long as I don't ride across the country on this thing, I should be fine. But that study had several participants who couldn't learn to ride the backwards bike. And when they were done trying, they couldn't ride a normal bike either. Could it be that every moment on the backwards bike negates a moment on a normal bike? It's no wonder Destin called this the backwards brain bicycle. So sure, learning the backwards bicycle could be like malware for your cerebellum, but it's actually really fun. It's possible that this is what it feels like to first learn how to ride a normal bike. Now look, it's easy for me to say Destin and Mike learned wrong or whatever, but I have hindsight on my side, as well as their videos to pick apart. That experiment made people think about bicycles, and for that, I thank them both. I'm sure many of you have tried backwards bicycles, and so tell me, how fast did you learn? Where'd you do it? I hope you learned something today, and if you didn't, I hope you at least found this all very entertaining. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.
What? Our brains are crazy.
You're about to die. Yeah, you got it. You're crushing it. Yeah. Something's happening. Yes, dude. Come on. Yes! Yes!
I'm starting to feel it. It's starting to make sense.
Okay, you've got it. You've got it.